Welcome back, beautiful people. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. Now, up next, we're going to be speaking with Iesha Reed, a prominent luxury communications brand executive. One of the many topics that we are covering on today's show will be tackling the underrepresentation of women in the media. Now, behind the scenes, men still occupy 73% of top media management positions, while women represent half of the world's population. Less than one third of all speaking characters in film are female. Cyber violence has extended in the harassment and stalking of women and girls to the internet. Around the world, women are far less likely than men to be seen in the media. As subjects of stories, women only appear in a quarter of television, radio, and print news. In a 2019 report, women made up a mere 19% of experts featured in news stories and 37% of reporters telling stories globally. Behavioral scientists who study women's underrepresentation in the workplace conclude that this gender imbalanced picture of society only reinforces and perpetuates harmful gender stereotypes. It is clear that the media must change how it reflects the world, but who can change media itself? None other than our next guest. Iesha has been paving the way for women in PR and media for quite some time. On my show, we feature women and all their accomplishments, but Iesha is something else. With over 15 years of experience in communication, both in-house and agency, she has been recognized as a style influencer, public speaker, arts and education advocate, and champion for women's causes. She has held executive roles at global luxury consumer retail companies, including Swarovski, Montblanc, Ralph Lauren, and is a publicist for high-profile entertainment and sports personalities. She is a trailblazer, a rising star with a platinum heart and spirit. Welcome to the show, stunning lady.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I mean, how can I come back from what you just said about me? Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I am so excited to have you on. Now, let's chat about the work that you do, the role that you play in your clients' lives, and talk to me a little bit about how you have paved the way for yourself and essentially not become a statistic of being underrepresented in the media, because you are at the center of it all.
Yeah, my position is the brand keeper. My position is also the brand message to the consumer, and to the point of reference when you see any client or any brand that I represent. It's me to protect the brand. It's me to also carve and cave those stories that make sure that the consumer really understands who the product is or who the celebrity is. That takes a lot of hard work. I mean, it's definitely making sure that all of the stories that our clients have and all of the stories that the brands have, those stories are told to the consumers in a way that they understand not only who the person is, but also what they represent. And I try to always pick clients and products that believe in the same things that I believe in, and sort of walk on the same walk that I'm walking on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. I mean, that's, of course, I mean, you want to be properly represented and in exchange properly represent. Now, diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts are happening in advertising, but it has not really been addressed at the PR media level. For instance, wanting women to have a seat at the table because it makes the table look better, but
Yeah.
they don't really want us to have a voice. Whether we are in the spotlight or strategizing on how to shift with the media landscape behind the scenes, women are changing the way stories are told. But what's your response to having a seat at the table but not having a voice?
I always believe if you don't have a seat at the table, you sort of make your own. And I do feel like as an African-American woman from the South, moved to New York about 21 years ago, it was always, very, very hard for me to get into those rooms. And I just continued to work hard and make sure that, I represented myself in a way that I did have a voice and I made my voice heard. I think that's always the best advice for me, for anyone that is listening to this podcast or just in life, period. As women, we have to work extra harder. We have to be extra smarter. As a brown skinned woman, I've had to work quite harder than a lot of my colleagues to be able to create that voice. And I think you just stand on your beliefs, you stand on what you believe in, and you're good. You stay good, and you make sure that you don't take anything for granted, or even any voice that you may have on any opinion. You make sure those opinions are known and spoken.
Amen, sister. You said it. You said it. And look, in streaming, we have Nigerian visionary Mo Abudu's Ebony Life. That became the first African production company to score a multi-title deal with Netflix
Amazing.
last year to create 2 series and several films. And then you have Ava DuVernay. She's continuing to forge new partnerships for Array, her collective focus. She's focused on films by people of color and women, and she signed a multi-year deal with Spotify in January for a slate of exclusive scripted and unscripted podcast shows. So here you have women paving the way, especially women of color. And today we celebrate women in all trailblazing positions, including stay-at-home moms. So that mom thing. Walk me through how you balance work, family, and giving enough attention to, to being a mom, but as well as a career woman.
It's absolutely, I say all the time, we have 100% of ourselves, and, not any person that's in our life, even our children and our work, they're not going to get 100%. I've always, I had to travel a lot for work overseas. I spent a lot of time in Europe when my son was 2-3 years old. And I missed a lot of things that, first days of school that, I used to give myself complete grief about. And then I realized that on the back end, it was going to pay out. Now I take him to school every morning. He's an actor, so I'm running him to auditions in between working. So it's all a balance, and you just have to make sure that you're not so hard on yourself, and also understand that you provide a great foundation. And I have his father's amazing, and I have a lot of great people around me that's able to kind of pick in when I'm not necessarily there. But he's super proud of me. I'm always letting him know what I'm doing. I take him on work trips so he can understand that mommy's working, and that's okay. I may not be able to be at one basketball game, but I'll definitely be at the next one. And
exactly.
That's what we have to do.
It's balancing it all out, because it does plague me as well, between being a full-time working mom on the show, being a full-time actress, and working on current film sets, balancing it out, being home for my daughter. It plagues me, right? Because at some point you're thinking, well, who's harder to please, my work or my child?
Right. And then you have your husband.
And then you have your husband. And that's, believe me, it's women giving of ourselves all the time. If men balance certain things very differently than women, and I think because we are women, we have learned to selflessly just give of ourselves in all of these different areas, whether it's work, family, but we do it 100%, and we do it with passion and love, because that's what, that's the foundation. The root of everything is mom. If mom's not happy, no one's happy.
And we put it all together. I mean, we are, we have husbands that, work, that have massive careers as well. I mean, my husband and I, we would always try to figure out sort of, which career is more important. And I was always fighting for mine, because I'm like, mine is just as important as yours.
Exactly.
Mine is just as important as yours.
Okay. So we have about 1.5 minutes left, and I want to get to your Billionaires Row. I know that's you're working with that client. Tell me about what they are and what they do.
This is an amazing project that I'm working on that I definitely have to tell you about. I mean, I am the chief marketing officer of the only Black owned and operated champagne company, made in Champagne, water company, and cognac. They have 3 tiers of product, and it's just amazing. It's 2 guys, 2 entrepreneurs decided to start a business in this area because they saw the misrepresentation on the spirit side, and they plugged me as their CMO. And it's such an exciting project because they're growing, and we're growing so super fast. And everything the story represents is just amazing. A Black man that has his own name on a champagne that's made in Champagne, France, is something that I'm super proud of. I've worked for European companies my whole life, and I'm just super excited to be able to take all of the experience that I have to be able to throw into these guys and really help them build out, something that is history making.
That's beautiful. Billionaires Row, you said it. That was the perfect commercial and the perfect plug. History making, minority owned, paving the way. They saw there was a need in the spirits world, and they jumped on board as visionaries. Couldn't ask for more. And you know what? They have the magic formula. They got you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. And you can always go to the website, www.billionairesrow.com. And I'm Iesha Reed at Iesha R.
That's right. Of course. Everybody check them out. That was Iesha Reed. Thank you so much for joining us. It was awesome talking to you.
Great talking to you. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Guys, Check out billionairesrow.com. This just as it sounds, billionairesrow.com. And you can check Iesha Reed out on the gram at Iesha, at Iesha with an R, and her name has an E in it, Ieshar. She's on the gram. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Aikido Pharma,